Hello, fellow nerds, and welcome to Our Nerdiest Thing. Today, we're starting our discussion of Leather and Lark by Bryn Weaver. It's book 2 of the Ruinous Love Trilogy. I've got a lot of enthusiasm right now. We're talking about...
It's a very good book.
Yeah, it's so good. I'm so excited to talk about it.
She's so turned on right now.
Yes. And we're talking about the prologue through chapter 5. But before we get into it, Deb, will you please share about our nerdiest cocktail?
Of course. So if you listen to Tuesday's episode, you know that tonight we get a shot and a cocktail.
Ooh.
So when we recorded Tuesday's episode, Whitney had her first shot. So now she's getting her second shot. So
Yay.
Tonight's drink is named Budget Batman, which is the shot, and Blunder Barbie, which is the drink. And it's themed after unexpected cleanup encounters. This drink pairs well with sunken cars, scuba diving, and witty insults, and it may cause one hot balcony kiss.
Ooh.
So, Whitney, are you ready for your second shot?
I'll try not to gulp in front of the microphone this time. It was bad.
Whitney, we'll see if this one burns as bad as the first one did.
I asked for a half.
Well, if you didn't listen to Tuesday's episode, we told Whitney how to swallow. Are you ready? Cheers.
All right, cheers.
Cheers.
You're not supposed to moan while you're drinking.
I was
choked on it.
Deb almost choked
I was
on it.
preparing. It was
She
like
wasn't.
it was like, you got this, girl.
I know, but while I'm taking a shot and swallowing like you're supposed to, you're like, I don't think you know how to non-sexy moan.
I've been reading a lot of romance.
Robbie's a lucky guy.
Yeah, he is. Robbie's like, is that drink good, or are you just psyching yourself up?
Oh man, that one didn't burn as much.
It does leave like a tingle on your tongue though, for sure. Yeah.
That's what she said.
So, and just if you guys aren't watching the YouTube feed, the shot is dark like Batman and the drink is pink like Barbie.
yeah, I didn't get that until we were recording our previous episode, and I
Good
was
job,
like,
Mindy.
oh.
It's really, really cute. Great work on
It
this
was
one.
great. Well, that brings us to our nerdy and dirty recap. Someone has 30 seconds to recap what happened in this section of the book.
I hope it's not me. who's on
God damn it,
my-
it's me.
I was
The
going to say
wheel
my
has
second
spoken.
shot and second drink of the night.
This will be fun.
It will be fun. I'm glad you're excited.
We shall see.
I was going to say you're going to
Prepare
start.
yourself.
You're going to start, and Whitney's going to go.
I'm going to slur half my words, and Whitney's going to, make me.
I just can't
Go,
help
ooh.
I can't help how sexy I am.
Especially with that list.
Yeah. Exactly. All right. Are you ready?
Here goes.
Here we go.
Lark blows up a dude using TNT strapped to his dick. Lark stinks a car with someone in it and needs a cleaner. She calls her dad and he gives her a number. 3 hours later, Grumpy Lachlan shows up and starts being a budget Batman. Lark pushes his buttons and he's having none of it. He makes Lark get in the trunk to drive out and she panics, but she escapes. Lachlan's boss is a sicko and a bellend who makes nasty smoothies with teeth in them. A year later, Lachlan and Lark don't recognize each other and make out on the balcony. Until they do recognize each other and have an insult war. The Phantom creeps around in Rowan's apartment for no apparent reason. People that Lark's family is close to are dying, and Lark's great Aunt Ethel schemes and suggests that they get together to avoid that.
That was good. That was good.
You're right. The Phantom was in his apartment, and he's like, "Well, Lord Jesus,
Yeah, like
These
what the hell
sinners.
was he doing? He got nothing accomplished. Like what the hell?
Like
Creeper.
I can't take the Phantom very seriously.
I can't either.
And then those sinners.
He's like Asmodeus.
Okay,
He is.
CW having Asmodeus on Supernatural. I've also seen that actor on an episode of iZombie, and so he does not have that horrible Colonel Sandals, but he's like, I'm a demon, and I have been crucified on the cross.
Oh man.
If you're not American, that's what Southern deep Baptist religion
Yes.
sounds like, or even Protestant religion,
Yeah.
really. But they get very excited about preaching and sweat a lot.
It's very Pentecostal.
Yes.
It's very,
Yes.
it's what do they call that type of
Hellfire and brimstone.
Charismatic.
charismatic? Yeah, thank you. And so, like, if you're not from this country, I mean, some of our listeners may not know what that is.
Look up Robert Pattinson in whatever, just like Robert Pattinson, Southern preacher.
It
Look
looks a
that up.
lot like
It's the same thing.
overacting, is what it looks
Yeah,
like.
it
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Mindy, you're still up. I hope.
Yes.
For
Yes,
our
I
nerdiest
am.
vocabulary.
I just realized that I was supposed to do another couple of vocabularies and I forgot to do them. So I'll save those for
Cool.
next week.
Ooh.
Yeah. So this week I've got one. I feel like this is going to be the let's learn Irish. Let's learn Irish insults. So today's word is called gobshite.
Ooh.
And I feel like, I can't remember. I'm sure it was Lachlan who said it, but it's a word used. It's a slang, and it's the earliest use of it was in the 1910s, actually in the U.S. Navy, and it was a term just for like a regular old enlisted sailor, but it comes from British slang words gob, which means mouth, and shite, which means excrement or poo.
A turd.
A turd.
A mouth turd.
Yeah, a mouth turd, so mouth shit, basically. But it was popularized as slang used in the UK and Ireland to mean basically a stupid person who brags a lot or goes on and on about senseless things, or basically a loudmouth dumbass.
I think that's me.
Not you. No.
So it's funny because in my like questions and the thing, I was like, what is a gobshite? But I did read that it's an extremely offensive term.
Yeah, it's
apparently.
very,
Oh,
very
really?
offensive. And they commonly refer in Ireland to a shower of gobshites, which indicates basically a group of big old idiots.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
I got the feeling that it was the equivalent of Americans using the R word.
Very much so. Yeah. It's
Interesting.
very derogatory. Very, very.
Yeah, but I mean, calling your brother that,
I was going to say,
it's
Lachlan
different.
It's
uses
different.
it in love.
I don't know if it's in love, but it's, it's not taken as badly.
It's
I
not the
guess.
same. Yeah. When you
Yeah.
are saying it to your brother.
So yes, next week I will have a lot of great vocabulary that I was supposed to have this week.
Yeah, I sent Mindy.
I know.
I was like, "Am I covering this or are you?" And she's like, "I've got it."
And I
And
was like,
she
I've got
don't
it. And I didn't got it. Yeah, no.
I really look forward to those insights next week.
You'll just have to wait and listen next week.
the anticipation is half the fun.
You did not go.
Well, let's talk about our favorite moments. What were your favorite moments, guys?
Okay.
New book, same characters.
How adorable is it when Lachlan keeps reintroducing himself to Lark on the balcony?
I love that so much.
So he comes out at first and she asks if he's going to brood and he says yes. And then she's like, well, you sound like a chicken in a coop. So then he leaves and comes back out and he goes, what a lovely evening. Mind if I join you? I know nothing about chickens, by the way.
I loved that.
And then she says she likes feather play. So he leaves again and comes back and says, hi, my name's Lachlan and I don't know anything about chickens, but I do like feathers under the right circumstances. And it was just really cute.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
it was
it was
very
a
cute.
side of him that like you hadn't seen yet where he like was really putting on the charm for her. Because he's not really a broody asshole when it comes down to it. He's
Right.
just
Like-
quiet.
A redo of a meet cute because they didn't get one.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
They didn't
yeah.
realize that they were
needed
having
one. Yeah.
They didn't
Right.
realize.
But I like kind of melted in that section of the book. I loved it.
That's one of my favorite quotes. Like, I know nothing about chickens, by the way. Like, that's one of my favorite quotes. I loved that a lot. That is similar to my favorite moment. I wrote, they're sort of meet cute in Rowan's apartment. And the just the banter in general when they were talking, I really enjoyed that a
Yeah.
lot. That was all my favorite part. I really loved that scene, especially after they realize, like, you're budget Batman and you're Blunder Barbie. Like, I love that so much. The immediate animosity that they have.
Oh yeah, it's like a light switch.
I mean, it is instantaneous, and I just find that so hilarious. And their tension, I wrote in my notes, the tension is delicious. I wrote that in all caps. And then as soon as I said that, or as soon as I wrote that down, like the next thing I read was Lachlan saying that he hadn't been this delighted in a really long. Like
I know.
and I was like, oh, I love him. I love Lachlan so much.
I do
But
too.
they have some of the same type of smart and witty banter that we saw with Sloane and Rowan, but I feel like Bryn Weaver does a really good job of having Lachlan and Lark have their own voices and
It
their own
doesn't seem
personalities.
like the same character.
Yes.
It's not at all. Like there's definitely more bite, I
Yes.
think, to their banter.
Yeah. You can tell that it's different, even
Yeah.
though it's the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's not a repeat, and it doesn't feel like a repeat.
I mean,
I really
Lachlan
love
didn't
that.
even get gold stars for that kiss.
I know. I think I would have given him a gold star.
That was actually one of my favorite moments was when Lark put a gold star on Rose's
I almost
cast.
put that as mine.
Yeah.
I just love that that's a continuing element of the story. Like it's going through both books.
It makes me want to carry stickers with me.
It does
I know.
me
It kinda
too.
does, doesn't it?
I
And
think-
then she brings up the thing again about wanting to gold star Sloane's tits, like she does in the first
Yeah.
book.
Yeah, I loved that.
But my real favorite moment was when Rose completely outs Fionn as being in a crochet club. That was hysterical and like what? Like
I love that too.
Okay,
And he's like, "Shut up!"
stop. That was a secret.
Mindy, that was actually my biggest revelation. And what I want to know, because I'm picturing, they're called the Suture Sisters, right? And I'm picturing him in like a little tea shop. I want to know, is he drinking tea with the little old ladies? Like, is he crocheting little hats for like NICU babies?
Yeah.
And
Aw.
then I thought about, have you all seen the crochet weapon guy on TikTok?
No.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
I've linked his page in the show notes, but he makes these hilarious shorts of himself using crocheted weapons against his friends. So he'll throw like a crocheted axe at someone and you look at him and there's just like red yarn all over his face. So it looks
Yeah,
like blood.
it's so funny.
I could see Fionn
That's
making
awesome.
crochet weapons.
Oh, 100%.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, and so that was my biggest revelation. And then also what you guys said, he was like, don't tell Rowan because I had like the leg up on calling him like
The
Shit flicker. Yeah.
shit flicker.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love
I
that part.
That's so funny.
Yeah, that was
Hopefully we'll
hilarious.
get to see some Suture Sisters in book
That would
3.
be awesome.
Surely we will.
Absolutely.
If it's brought up here. Well, let's bring it down a little bit and talk about our least favorite moment. I don't know if we'll have the same thing.
I don't know.
I'll go ahead and tell you mine. Mine's the pizza tooth smoothie.
That was mine.
I put
Okay, well,
pizza
there you
and
go.
beer smoothie with extra calcium.
That is so gross. It is so gross. Although I will say what I do really enjoy about that is that it's a very concise and clear way to tell you a whole lot about the character
True.
of Leander. I do
Right.
really it's very gross and I hate it. However, I also kind of love it because he is like, I feel like this boss of Lachlan, I feel like he's white knuckling through his life and just lives for these moments where he can do something crazy,
Yeah.
like make a pizza tooth smoothie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like the
Yeah.
rest of his life is like, just keep it together, man. Keep it
it's
together.
very
you know?
childlike though.
It is.
It's
weird.
like that teenage boy that's like,
You know, it'd be funny.
yeah, hey bro.
Okay, what does it say about me though that I was way more grossed out about this than the jizz ice cream?
I was way more grossed out. About
I was
this,
definitely
too.
more grossed
Something
out.
For
about
sure.
crunched up teeth really bothers me. And she talks about how the cheese is sticking to the side of the blender
Yes,
from the pizza.
that really bothered
I think it's the
me.
way she wrote it. Like, because it's
Yeah.
like all fat and like bubbly beer and teeth. Like, it was
Here's
so
the thing.
gross.
The jizz ice cream still tasted like ice cream.
That's true.
This
Mindy's tried it. I mean,
was yeah. Well, at least I would assume that it still tastes like
little
cookies and
salty
cream ice
with your
cream. Yeah, a little bit salty. But this, like, the thought of drinking a pizza with even just mixing pizza and beer, but then you throw the teeth into it.
And with gold.
Ugh.
With gold in it.
fancy smoothie.
Yeah, like
That was
ugh.
an expensive smoothie.
And yeah, it was just I hated that.
No, thank you.
But also I appreciated the detail and of the character development.
You're right,
there.
though. I like what you said about how it tells you a lot
It
about
does.
his character.
She's really good at that. About
She's
taking
amazing.
one sentence or one tiny detail that tells you a whole lot about the character. She's very good at doing that. I also had a very small moment that I put as a least favorite moment too, is when Lachlan first sees Lark in Rowan's apartment on the night of the restaurant opening. He automatically is like, she's gorgeous, most beautiful person I've ever seen. Look at her perfect, like, you know, creamy skin, whatever. And he then looks at his like hands and arms and is like, I'm super tatted up, covering up all these scars. I'm missing the tip of my finger, but like, my hands would look great on her skin. But it bothered me that he immediately like looked at the quote,
negative.
the imperfections basically.
Yeah.
That just made me feel sad for him. And I felt like he needed a hug and I would be willing to give him one.
You would like his tattoos against your creamy skin?
Yeah, it is very pale.
It's creamy.
Yeah. Well, you said your biggest revelation, Deb.
Right.
What was your biggest revelation, Mindy?
Mine, well, of course, there was the big revelation that Lark is actually also a killer,
Yeah.
right? But the one sort of nuanced one that I noticed was basically that Lark gets her penchant for crafts from her great aunt Ethel.
I noticed that too.
Like she walks into her room and she's talking about all these like craft supplies that she's got in her room, and then I made that connection, which I didn't make the first
I
time.
hadn't made that connection.
Okay, that's why she likes crafty stuff so much, because she's been hanging around with her aunt Ethel.
Yeah, I noticed that this time too. I don't think I noticed it in the first.
Can you
read along.
imagine having a family so rich, Mindy, that we had unlimited craft supplies? It's like I just had an orgasm.
That's like a dream. Yeah.
I know.
If only.
If only.
Well, my biggest revelation kind of goes into my deep dive, which really is just figuring out how the Leather and Lark timeline fits into the Butcher and Blackbird timeline. And it took me a really long time to figure this all out, and still some of it is unclear.
I was really glad you were doing it though, because I was like,
yeah, there's still a couple of things that I'm like, I don't really know what this is supposed to be. But really, I just want to preface this deep dive by saying this really doesn't matter. I don't think it affects the understanding of the story whatsoever. So maybe I'm wrong. It's fine. But I really just wanted to figure it out / needed to figure it out. So here we are. So based on the context clues of the little bits of information that Lark and Lachlan give us, they mention Sloane being at home with her cats. They mention the competition has already been happening with Sloane and Rowan. So chapter 1 of Leather and Lark, when Lachlan comes to do the cleanup for Lark on Halloween, that had to have happened a couple of months after the Thorsten dinner party. That part of the competition in Butcher and Blackbird. So the competitions happen in August because that was established in the very beginning of Butcher and Blackbird. But obviously Halloween is always in October. So
wait, what?
Guys, I was able to put that together by myself. I hope you're proud of me. So that Halloween would have also have been a few months after Sloane goes to Boston the first time and surprises Rowan and then ends up like leaving immediately. So this cleanup Halloween thing was a few months after that. And also a few months before Sloane going to Boston for the gala, thinking that it was a date.
Oh, okay.
So the cleanup is on Halloween in October. The gala happened in April. So it was, what is that, like six-ish months before that. So first we have Sloane goes to Boston the first time. And then the Thorsten dinner party happens. Then the Halloween cleanup with Lark and Lachlan. Then the gala. That's in April with the gala. That August, a few months later, is the Harvey Mead Texas Chainsaw House between Sloane and Rowan. So when we see Lark and Lachlan officially meet in chapter 3 of Leather and Lark, this is a few months, after the Texas Chainsaw House, because it was after that they traveled to Fion's house and she moved to Boston. So I don't know if that's weeks or if that's months, but it was shortly after that. So that's where chapter 3 is happening in Leather and Lark, a few months or a few weeks after the Harvey Mead fiasco. Massacre. Yeah, I don't know how to describe
the
that.
one where she gave him a heart attack with his mother's bones.
With the skeleton. Yeah. So in the background of the aftermath of the dinner party with Thorsten, Sloane and Rowan kind of dancing around the fact that they are like super into each other. Lachlan and Lark are already having a pretty significant ripple effect in each other's lives leading up to this wedding weekend, which we're about to see happen in the next section of the book. Right. So I think this is where I got a little confused and iffy more than anywhere else. I think that the wedding weekend is a year-ish after the restaurant opening, maybe a little bit less. That I'm still a little unclear about that. But we know from the end of Butcher and Blackbird, Rowan opens the restaurant. All that stuff with David happens. Then Rowan gets that tattoo. And then he proposes, right? Like that's the order of things, but we're not really sure how much time passes between all that stuff with David and Rowan getting that tattoo and how much time passes between Rowan getting that tattoo and proposing. We do know for sure that the surprise wedding weekend happens 6 weeks after the proposal.
Okay.
So the surprise wedding weekend, I'm looking at it, it says 1 year later.
Yes, but I'm trying to figure out exactly how the timeline lines up with the tattoo and the proposal too, because in my notes, this is where I get confused. In my notes, when we were doing that last section of Butcher and Blackbird, I wrote down that the tattoo scene happened in June, but I can't quite figure out why I thought that and why I wrote that down, because in the chapter, whatever is it, chapter 4, I think, whichever chapter is the Phantom POV, and he says August 2nd, they have a tattoo appointment. And so I feel like that August 2nd appointment probably is the tattoo that we see him get in Butcher and Blackbird, because why would it be some other random tattoo? You know what I mean? Like she already showed us that in Butcher and Blackbird, so that makes more sense to me. It makes more sense that I would be wrong about the tattoo. You know what I'm saying? So I'm a little confused about that. But, you know, the Phantom tells us tattoo August 2nd, whatever. So, anyway, so if the surprise wedding is happening 6 weeks after the proposal, we're picking up on Leather and Lark's unique timeline somewhere late September, early October.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense.
So, because we also know that the proposal was like their competition for that year, which would have been August.
August, yeah.
So, depending on when in August.
And it says
late September, early October.
And it's taken her, Sloane, a couple of months because she is worried about the guest list. And that's why Rowan helps them elope.
Exactly.
So would this be a year or 2 years after the cleanup?
This would be 2 years after the cleanup.
Okay.
Yeah. So the restaurant opening is a year after the cleanup. A year-ish. And then the wedding is a year-ish after.
Okay. That makes sense.
That.
So they've thoroughly hated each other for 2 years, but realized who each other was for 1 year.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Exactly. So this wedding weekend is where Leather and Lark picks up its own timeline and does not overlap with Butcher and Blackbird
So when we
anymore.
start next week, we are caught up in current time.
Gotcha.
Yes,
Okay, cool.
exactly. So one thing, fun fact that I kind of figured out when I was doing all of this, when Lachlan cleans up for Lark on that Halloween night, he has already met Sloane, which is Lark's best friend. And he mentions in this section, he feels like an invisible string with Lark when she leaves the room, and he feels like he has to follow her. And I would like to think that Sloane is that invisible string, because both of them already have this connection to her.
I like that.
Yeah, that's also a Taylor Swift song. It's called Invisible String.
Me and Mindy definitely knew that.
Yeah, we
It's a cute
absolutely
little
100%
song,
made that
so.
connection.
Anyway, I just thought that was an interesting little thing. And then one other revelation that I had is we've already mentioned the Phantom being a creep. I had completely forgotten that the Phantom was like in the background of all these different things we've already seen happen. Like he says he watched them make out on the balcony the night of the restaurant opening. He's been watching Rowan and Sloane like do it on the balcony.
Yeah.
And like watch the restaurant opening. Like
Also, bro, you
Yes.
don't have to sit there and watch.
For real,
I
right?
mean,
Like
come
he's
on.
been creeping around for weeks.
I mean, would I? Yes. But that doesn't mean you have
I
to.
want to know how he reconciles that with his biblical.
Religion.
Yeah.
Oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what he does, because he thinks he's right about everything.
Right.
There, he doesn't have to justify, because he is God. I think he thinks. But anyway, so
Whitney, I'm
there we go.
fully expecting like a non-cult religious fanaticism serial killer deep dive at some point during Leather and Lark, please. You will put that on your list.
I will put it on the list.
You'll get to it as soon as you get to the other books I told you to read.
So that was my biggest revelation. And you guys both already shared yours, right?
We did,
Okay,
yeah.
perfect. So that brings us to a spicy scene, of which there was kind of only one.
Yeah.
There was
kiss.
one. Yeah.
But mine's actually before that. And it's interesting, Whitney, that you said that it bothered you what he said about his tatted up hands.
Oh.
Because I really liked that. But he was fantasizing about what they would look like on Lark's skin.
Yeah.
So he says, my hands would look so good on her perfect skin, folded around her soft thighs. The image of my tattooed fingers gripped around her smooth flesh has me shifting in my seat in a failed attempt, you know.
I like
et cetera, et
that.
cetera.
Yeah.
I like that part.
Yeah, that was pretty hot.
Because like really the contrast of that, of his scarred hands and like tatted up hands against like her smooth skin, that's very sexy. Very, very sexy. And I mean, I've said a million times, and the sexual butler knows this, if he had tattoos, we'd have like 24 children.
So yours was the kiss too. Mine was the kiss.
Yeah, mine was the kiss. It was hot. I love that they
It was hot.
jump right in. It kind of sucks that they had to realize who each other was, because if only Lachlan had kept his feckin' mouth shut.
I know. Why'd he have to say feckin' Christ Jesus? And she
They-
would have.
I mean, they would have figured it out at some
I
point.
know,
right?
but like they could have
yeah.
like gone a little further.
At least they hadn't
Can't
gotten
give me
into
more.
a full relationship before they realized.
Yeah, that would have been
Which,
rougher.
I mean, would have, if she hadn't recognized that, would it have ever come out? Because they still never really come clean about like who all he's helped and who all she's killed.
yeah.
Sure.
Even at the end
Yeah.
of this
Yeah.
book.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like it definitely would have come up at some point, but I don't know. They don't really talk about it, but
I do love though where she's like, say it growlier.
I know. She's like, wait a second.
I just like choked on air.
It kind of reminded me of this episode. If any of you all have ever watched Freaks and Geeks, first of all, go watch it because it's hilarious. But there's this one episode where they're doing prank phone calls to their gym teacher, and he's like telling he's like a butt patter, and he's like, you're a butt patter, and like all this stuff. Like it's hilarious, the whole thing. But the guy makes them all read the script of whatever the prank phone call was, and he's like, wait, say it a little slower.
But pattern.
But patter. And the one of the kids, because they're all nerds, he reads it like who's the guy on Star Trek? William Shatner. You butt patter.
Well, I picked this kiss on the balcony too for my favorite spicy scene, just because they're so into each other for no reason at all,
Yeah.
and that's like a soulmate insta love kind of trope that I just really like. I like
100%.
when they're like, "Why am I so into you? It doesn't make any sense." But
It's
I'm
the
gonna,
pheromones.
yeah, but I'm just gonna go with it. I love that, and they're like pressing into each other, and like their hands are going everywhere. I love that.
That's how you felt about Robbie.
That's true.
True.
Aww.
You wanted to just ride that dick.
You wanted to ride that dick so hard that you talked about football and pretended like you liked it.
It was basketball.
Oh, basketball. Sorry.
But yes, same.
The sports
same
ball.
sentiment
That
there.
was the that was the last thing she ever had to pretend about. Though.
Shout out to Robbie. Well, let's talk about something else. Who'd you guys pick for your chapter MVP?
I wonder if we all have the same one.
Well, mine's the same as my favorite secondary character, so you all go first.
Oh, who'd you pick?
Great Auntie Ethel.
Oh, no.
So I love this manipulative little muffin empress. Like she is a muffin empress. Like she has built like this whole family,
Yeah.
right, riches around making muffins, which we learn way more about later in the book. And Lark uses that to her advantage, which I love. But she gets Lark to overhear her parents discussing the offing of the Kane brothers.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, at the end of this chapter, we don't know it for sure yet, but she's essentially proposing that Lark fake marry Lachlan to
Yep.
save him.
Yep.
And I love that everyone just kind of thinks she's like old and senile, and she's like, no, I'm pulling the strings of all you motherfuckers.
Yep.
Like I love her. She's
Yeah.
great.
I like
That was
a
who
lot.
my MVP and my favorite secondary character was, just because for all the same reasons. She's such a spitfire. I love how she unapologetically admits that she's conniving and bossy. Like she just straight up tells you. And she starts the whole Lachlan Lark thing, but she tries to get Lark to piece it out first.
Right. She wants
Yeah.
Lark to hear it on her own.
Yeah.
Right.
I just love a little old
'Cause
lady with bite.
you could see Lark going up there and her being like, they're going to kill off the Kane brothers, and Lark being like, no, you misunderstood.
Right. That
Yeah.
can't be right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she even says, well, normally Ethel meets me at the door. Why isn't she down here?
Yeah.
And then
Why does she want me to go get lotion?
Yes. Yeah. She's a kooky old broad, but even this is kind of weird for her. Yeah. I enjoyed that. Even this is weird. Like, what's
Yeah.
going on? And then you find it all out. Yeah, I really like that a lot. But now I picked Lark for my chapter MVP because she's sassy and she's funny. And I really love that she doesn't let herself be intimidated by Lachlan, who can be a scary dude when he wants to be. And it seems pretty clear that in that cleanup scene, like he wants to be a scary dude. And she still like won't let herself be intimidated by him. And I appreciate
she's like,
that.
I'm not going to cry in front of him. I'll cry in
Yeah.
the
Yes.
dark.
Yep. And that's
Yeah.
exactly what she does. And I really love that. And I've struggled with how to describe this, and I settled on the word whimsy. Lark has a whimsy about her personality that I just really like. And I love that she's very different from Sloane, which again, Bryn Weaver is good about making Lark and Lachlan very different and their own unique characters while still like feeling familiar. The writing style still feels familiar to Sloane and Rowan, and she's just a good complement to Sloane while being her own unique self. And I really like that a lot.
I do picture her like dark Barbie. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like there's
Yeah.
this Barbie aspect to her where she's, like you said, whimsical. I think that's a
Yeah.
great adjective. She's just, you know, she's
She
fun love.
carries-
She presents herself as fun loving and
Yeah.
like kind of ditzy and kind of like the
She
way that
gives
she's
out
supposed to
gold
look.
star stickers.
Yeah.
like in real
Very
life.
smart.
But
Yeah.
she's super smart and she has this dark side.
Yeah.
So
Well,
our friend Carrie, she had me make a shirt for her once that said, "Underestimate me, that'll work out for you." And it reminds me because
Absolutely.
That's Lark.
Carrie
yeah.
will tell you because she has ADHD that people are always like, "Oh, Carrie's so flighty and silly and
Yeah.
ditzy," and she's like one of the most intelligent
Yeah.
people I know.
Yeah.
Shout out to Carrie because she's amazing.
She is amazing.
Yeah, one thing that I almost put this under biggest revelation, and I just put it as a little tidbit for Lark. I loved the moment where she tells Lachlan he has been described to her as broody, because in Butcher and Blackbird, when she and Sloane are watching Constantine, she tells Sloane like dark and broody and grumpy, sign me up. And I'm like, at the time I was
didn't
like,
put that together.
oh girl,
And we haven't
just you
even
wait.
gotten to the Constantine part.
I know.
Right.
You know
I
what I
know.
just realized, in listeners, little spoiler alert, for one of our Tuesday episodes, we need to do Constantine.
Yeah,
It's
we
actually a
should.
really cool movie.
I've never seen it.
I
so
haven't
It's a
either.
really
yeah.
cool movie.
I haven't either.
Okay.
It's very
And
important
You
to
all know
Lark.
I like my, I like my Keanu.
I love my Kiana too.
So your secondary character, Mindy, was still Aunt
Still
Ethel.
great Aunt Ethel. Yeah.
Who was your secondary character, Deb?
Fionn. And it's for a really funny joke that so whenever Lachlan rings the bell, he comes on the bell in Rowan's apartment and goes, "If you're selling farts in a jar, I don't want them." But like we've learned about Fionn that he rescued Rose. He makes jokes to his brothers like that. He's a physician. He works out all the time. He crochets.
Yeah.
But we're gonna find out in the third book that he has a dark side. Like we have to. Like all these brothers are.
Do you
dark,
think
right?
I'm curious to see if Rose is the one with the dark
I
side?
think it's
Well, I
Rose.
think she is,
Yeah.
but he has to be okay with it.
Well,
yeah, that's true.
You know
That's
what I
true.
mean?
Which
So-
it makes sense that he would be, because
His brothers are crazy.
He's got a great relationship with his two brothers.
Right, but I do love in this book even Lark is really the crazier one.
Oh,
When it comes
absolutely.
down to it, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Lachlan's just like, I'm broody. But I kind of
Yeah.
want to get out of this life.
Well, I think
Yeah.
with Lachlan, what you see is what you get, right?
Right,
Like
right.
he definitely presents who he is. He's, you know,
but I think
a
also
goon basically.
Bryn
that's
Weaver is really good at layering characters. So, like, what are
Absolutely.
we missing about Fionn?
True.
Right?
Yeah,
that's
that's
true.
true.
She's
There's got to
made
be
him-
something else.
She's
there.
made him too nice.
Yeah,
almost.
there's
Yeah.
got to be something
We
else
know
there.
very little about him.
I mean, we
Yeah.
know he's cool with the fact that Lachlan's strangled his father,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, let's face it, though. He deserved it.
he did deserve it.
Yep.
Piece of shit.
Exactly.
Who was yours, Whit?
Well, I went similar, not Fionn, but Rose. She just made me laugh a lot when she told everybody about Fionn crocheting.
Suture sisters.
That made me laugh
Yeah.
so much. Just the knowing that all these brothers are like constantly like ragging on each other and looking for things to make fun of them. And she's like, hey, silver platter.
Yeah.
Here you go. That just makes me laugh a lot. And I really love like Lachlan. He kind of like clocks her energy immediately and he's like, okay.
Do you know why you love her? Because all three of us would do that shit.
Absolutely.
all three of us would. We'd be like, well, listen to this.
What's awesome though is that
That's
she
true.
even knows that. Like I feel like Fionn would try to keep that a secret.
Yeah.
But somehow she found out.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
He probably didn't like tell her. Yeah,
Right,
because
he
he
did-
says like it was a flyer and a misunderstanding. And that's true. That's
Yeah.
really funny. But yeah, she makes me laugh. I enjoy her a lot. So what has been your all's favorite quote so far? I only have
There's
3.
so many good ones.
Well, I put a lot of my favorite quotes in like my other parts.
Yeah.
But for me, my favorite one, and she shouts it, she goes, do you know why you're there with fireworks strapped to your dick and I'm over here with the fuse? It's like the first thing she really says in the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beyond Lachlan, like that,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
epilogue. But it's like the first thing she says in present time, and I think it's so fucking funny.
Yeah, she is very funny. That one of my favorite quotes came from that scene too, where she talked. Actually, no, I think is that from the prologue? Yeah, that's the prologue.
Yeah, that's the
Oh,
prologue.
it is the prologue.
One of
Sorry
my
about that.
favorite quotes came from the driving the guy in the car off the road, and she says, "Cackling maniacally as I waved the gun out the window probably didn't help."
I highlighted that
That
too.
made me laugh
Because can't
so
you see her
much.
just being out the window and being like,
Yes, like totally in her
Yeah.
Harley Quinn makeup.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
I mean, that made me laugh. And I already said I know nothing about chickens. That made me laugh a lot. And then when she stops making out with him and Lachlan says, "Was it the Jesus?" That made me laugh quite a bit.
I mean, it depends on if you're on the church steps or not.
Yeah, true.
What were your favorite quotes?
Mine were both from Lark. First was she says, "But how do you know? Are you a doctor?" And Lachlan says, "No." And she says, "Good, because your bedside manner sucks."
Yeah.
And then was my inspiration for one of the cocktails, is when she says, "Thank you for your totally unnecessary judgments, budget Batman."
Yeah, that made me laugh.
I think that might have been the first time she pulls that one out.
I think
just
it is
so funny.
Yeah, she pulls it out of nowhere. Like,
Yeah.
she just comes up with it right on the
Budget
spot,
Batman.
and it makes me laugh quite a bit. It did make me kind of sad when he meets her for the first time, really, in Rowan's apartment, and he sees, like, she's got this scar, a cut that didn't get treated, and I was like, that's your fault.
Yeah, that is
Maybe if
you.
you hadn't put her in
Yeah.
the trunk, you could have taken her to the ER.
Like, dude.
Although she
it made me
did
sad.
reject. She was like, "I don't need help. I don't need you. I don't need that."
So,
Yeah.
did you say you had another quote? Because I wanted to
No,
talk
that's
about
it.
that cleaner stuff real quick.
No, that's it.
So I did. I got really curious about crime scene cleaners because
Oh, yeah.
this does actually have to be
Oh,
a
yeah.
legit job, right? And this isn't the first time we've seen the use of a crime scene cleaner in this trilogy. We see someone come in and clean up after David. It's
Yeah.
Slade in the first book. And then we see Connor come and clean up Lark's crime scene in Leather and Lark. And it got me wondering, like, what a crime scene cleaner actually does, like what the qualifications are, how much they get paid, because
Oh,
it's
yeah.
a really grisly job, right? So first, let's talk about what a person in this role does. Crime scene cleaners clean and sanitize areas where violent crimes, deaths that have been like the person's been dead for a while, industrial accidents or other traumas have occurred, and their responsibilities include like removing the stains, odors, broken glass, other objects, and impurities. They have to clean up the blood, the body fluids, and then also there's apparently a way you have to clean up tear gas, which makes sense. I didn't know
Yeah.
that. They have to deal with biological materials and other hazardous materials. They have to restore damaged materials like carpet and flooring. And then they have to remove the odors, which I hadn't really thought about.
Yeah.
I know, yeah.
So crime scene cleaners are trained to follow really specific health guidelines to protect themselves and to make spaces safe and sanitized. So they wear personal protective equipment, which during COVID we learned is called PPE.
Yeah.
But theirs has to be liquid, impermeable hazmat suits, shoe
Yeah.
covers, safety glasses, and like full face respirators. So crime scene cleaners are most often called in for more serious situations where absolute sterilization is required. They have the equipment, skills, and mental preparedness to tackle the worst situations that regular cleaners can't really handle, right?
Yeah.
Crime scene cleaners actually don't have to have a degree, but they do have to have training in bloodborne pathogens, PPE, respiratory protection, hazardous communication, medical waste handling and transporting, and then heat illness awareness. And the only reason I think they have to know that is probably because if a body's been out in the heat, maybe. But even
Actually, I get training on that every year as a JCP employee. As a
well, you
school
could be
employee.
a crime scene cleaner.
I could
man.
be.
So,
All that stuff you just mentioned, I train every year on.
Yeah.
So even though someone could think they may be able to clean up where a body has lain, we all know from true crime podcasts the evidence lies beyond where the body is.
Yeah.
The carpets, subflooring, walls, baseboard, drains, and other fibrous materials in the room may also absorb the odors and need to be cleaned or replaced, which again, I keep forgetting about the odor part. So how much does a person with specialized skills like this make? And let me point out that I read there is a specialized technique just to remove brain matter because it hardens like cement.
Ooh.
Did you all know that?
No.
Okay, so these employees only make 25 to 71K with a median of $34,000
That
a
is
year.
not enough.
Right,
Oh
which
my
I wrote,
gosh.
which really does not seem like enough money for me.
No.
There's no room for an advancement, and it's seen as manual labor.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why people like Connor end up working for the bad guys.
Yeah.
I mean, because
Yes.
I wouldn't do that work for $34,000. I'm not sure I'd do that work for $71,000.
I was going to say,
No.
I wouldn't do it for whatever Connor makes.
Like when I researched it, I thought these were going to be people making like $100,000 plus.
Yeah.
because you have to know
Should
how to
be.
do the work. You
Yeah.
have to know how to sterilize a situation. There's so many like biohazard things you have to do. Like, why aren't these people getting paid more?
Well, and here's what I thought about too after all this in this chapter. Connor pretty much did all that on his own, right? Like,
Right.
they didn't hear any help with that. How long did that take?
Well,
Right. They say it can take days to clean up a crime scene.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
fun fact, I'm pretty sure Connor is the same guy that comes to help with David at the end of Butcher and Blackbird.
Oh,
Oh, that would make sense.
I'm
That
pretty
would make
sure
sense.
that it's the same
But she
guy.
has a team, doesn't she? Doesn't he have a team with him in Butcher and Blackbird?
With David, I don't think so.
There was a
because
guy waiting outside, so you think
it
that's
was
Connor?
I think it's
okay.
Connor.
I think
yeah.
so, too.
Because Lachlan.
But when you
Lachlan
think
called him.
about sterilizing a restaurant,
yeah, that's very different.
but I guess at least it was like this is kind of gross, but like a fresh kill.
yeah, that's true.
True.
Yeah. But
There wasn't anything. There wasn't brain matter sitting there hardening.
Oh, yeah, that's so
Ew.
gross. And apparently it hardens really quickly.
Ew.
I know.
I'm so glad I know that. Thank you so much,
But
Deb.
I want to put out some legislation for these people to
I know,
get paid
that's-
more.
I know.
That's-
Seriously.
Also, what is your motivation to do a really good job in that manual labor if you're getting paid $34,000 a
Right.
year?
Seriously.
Yeah, that's so true.
Makes me wonder if I've got some like brain matter in my subflooring somewhere.
Oh, I
Well-
did not want to think about that.
On that
The
note,
ghost is like, no, you don't. You don't.
what questions do you guys have that you would like to see resolved? I have a few.
I have a
I do
couple.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mindy, why don't you go first?
Why was Fionn a blubbering mess at the Halloween party?
Yes.
thing.
I'm like, what is going on there? Like,
What was
what
he so
demons
upset
or
about?
trauma does he have?
Surely. I do remember.
Or is he just a sloppy drunk?
I think that we are going to get a tiny bit more information about that because there are a couple of details I kind
I
of
felt like
remember.
it was a breakup.
I think it is.
Yeah.
But
It makes sense.
I
for it to
wonder
be.
if that's going to be some kind of bigger part of however
Yeah.
Rose comes into the picture somehow
Probably.
in book 3.
I just love all these little nugget Easter eggs they're throwing in before
Yes.
we
Oh,
get
yeah,
the whole
100%.
story. And then the other question I have is just what's up with that Stan Tremblay guy? He just seems shady and I don't trust him. The
the older guy that
the lawyer, is he a lawyer? I don't know.
he
if he's
seems like a lawyer.
yeah.
But
To be honest, though, I've read this book and I don't remember who's doing all the killing.
I don't either.
So that's
I
gonna
feel
be
like
fun.
maybe it was him. I don't know. But
I
like
can't
he
remember.
definitely seems shady to me. And I don't think he ever seemed not shady to me.
yeah, well, and considering they're kind of the mafia, like they are all shady.
Do you
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
who I'm picturing though? Because I was just watching an episode of this. Is Ned Gowan
Yes,
from
from
Outlander?
Yes,
Outlander.
me too.
But with a modern
Absolutely.
haircut. Yeah,
100%. Me too.
Because it says he's in his 70s and very, and so is Ned Gowan.
Yep, that I exactly how
Yeah.
that is how I picture him.
You know, a question I had is how bad is Lachlan's vision? Because he talks
know.
about how he can't see all of Lark's face, but he can like feel her energy.
Yeah.
When she gets close to
Well,
him,
he does wear glasses.
And I'm like, buddy, like maybe you don't leave your glasses in the car because I'm pretty sure you can't read anything if you can't see her
You know,
face.
I think he leaves them in there because
He's embarrassed.
well, because Rowan and Fionn make fun of him.
yeah.
I
But,
think that's
like,
why.
I bet they make him look so handsome.
I'm sure Lachlan never looks that handsome. I think, but yeah, I've noticed that as well. But is that the only question you had?
Beyond the why was Fionn a blubbering mess?
Oh, yeah. Well, I have 3 questions. None of them are about Fionn, actually. So I just wondered, I don't know that we're ever going to get this answer, but the prologue where it's the Andrew, the boyfriend that she found out was like a predator and also cheating on her. I wondered, is he her first kill? Because it would make sense to me that he would be, because why else
She
put
was
that as
kinda
the prologue?
sloppy.
Well, but at the same time, it's also kind of sophisticated. You know what I mean? Like,
Here's why I don't think it's her first kill, though, because she talks about how much she regrets not taking the kill that Sloane took. And it sounds like she's been like building up. She's definitely
Well,
more
yeah.
serial killer energy of like she has her
Yeah.
kills like get closer and closer together.
see,
Yeah.
I see it as she regrets not killing the teacher that Sloane did, and so now that she knows this guy's a predator, like she's not going to let him get away.
Sure.
And
Okay.
I just
Yeah.
wonder. I don't know
Maybe
that we'll
that,
ever
like,
find
set her
out,
off.
but
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was kind of strange. And then Lachlan says that his boss Leander has brothers just as psychotic as he is. And I just wondered, are we going to see them? Are we going to meet these other brothers? Because I thought it was kind of weird to mention them because we've got this whole trilogy about brothers.
Right.
Wouldn't that be poetic?
I do wonder if any of these brothers are in her different books.
That's true. Like the not this trilogy, but other books. Oh, yeah, that's a
Interesting.
good
That would be a
question.
good question.
And then last but not least, will I ever find out more about Anna?
She came up again.
Yeah, she's making margaritas, and everyone's like, "Hey, Anna." She's like, "Hey," and I'm like, "Who is Anna? I wonder like, what is up with her?"
But you got to remember, Rose is always there too. So I wonder if Rose is the one bringing her more into the fold. But I mean, she's close friends because she's at Lachlan's birthday in book one.
In book one,
and
She's already in their like circle.
Right. I wonder if she's just a long-term friend. But yeah, she keeps
but why be
coming
there?
up.
Right. Like she's got to be
Maybe
there
she'll
for a
be
reason.
more
in book 3.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe she'll be more in book 2. I don't know. I don't remember. But she does keep showing up, which makes me think she is important or will be at some point. What are you guys looking forward to?
More of Auntie Ethel.
Yeah.
I want
her
more
down, too.
Fiona and Rose.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
still like I
You're
want
getting
more.
the whole book, man.
Yeah.
I know, but I'm impatient.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Lark and Lachlan being on the same team. And I do give a shout out to Crazy Aunt Ethel and her idea to have them get married to protect everybody. And I'm just ready, like I wrote, let's get the show on the road.
Yeah.
I'm ready for the banter. I'm ready for the forced proximity. I'm ready for the fake marriage.
I
Like,
mean, this is
let's do it.
definitely a slow burn, though.
Oh, for sure.
yeah.
Don't-
And I love it.
I feel like Rowan and Sloane, he's like in that first chapter, like staring at her tits and stuff, right? And like she can tell he's like uncomfortable and has an erection. And with this one, it's not like that, right?
Yeah.
Like they actually are kind of enemies.
Well, I was
Yeah.
gonna say this is definitely more of an enemies to lovers vibe.
For sure. Yeah.
And so I wanted to find out if there were any like real life enemies to lover stories.
Ooh.
I'm sure, obviously there are. So I did find quite a few. This was from a BuzzFeed article where people like readers wrote in, and then I did find a couple of celebrity ones. But these are the ones that I thought were the most entertaining. So one reader wrote in about their uncle and his wife, and they said, I don't know if it was a boy or girl, there was a time that the uncle was working as a short order cook at a diner, and he was constantly butting heads with one of the women waiting tables. And it got so bad that their coworkers brought in a couple of sets of boxing gloves and told them, as a joke, to go duke it out behind the building. And they totally did. So they just beat the crap out of each other and then started getting along so well that they got married, and they're still together 18 years later.
Oh.
That's hilarious.
So that was a
I
good
wonder
one.
how many marriages would stick it out if we could just punch each other in the
Right?
face.
Like
every 25 years.
Like, get that out of your system and
Yeah. There's a 7-year itch, right? So do that when the kids all
Allegedly,
move
yeah.
out. Right?
And then this one starts when this poster and her enemy were 15 years old in high school.
Oh,
They were
man.
in marching band together, which we know is there's a lot of illicit.
Gosh.
There really
Look,
are.
there's illicit.
I was in marching
stuff.
band.
So was one
I'll
of my
tell
good
ya.
friends from early on
I
too.
played bass drum.
In my high school, the marching band was like the freakiest.
I was gonna say they're the
We
ones that
were-
hooked
like
up the
sexually
most.
freaky.
No, we weren't the sexually freakiest, but we were actually really cool.
Well, this dude apparently was a huge flirt, dated a lot of girls, and had a smug, arrogant attitude.
This guy went to my high school. apparently.
So she says, this is a quote, he'd try to talk to me and I would tell him to screw off. I even called him a man whore. Not my best moment. So for a year, they
Not the worst.
Yeah, I know either. I was like, you called him out, girl. Good for you. For a year, I guess, they picked on each other until one day he actually came across her crying because her boyfriend at the time had dumped her. And he came to sort of tease her, but then ended up asking what was wrong. And she told him, and he sat down and asked. And then he offered to go punch the ex. He was like, I'm going to make her laugh. So I'm going to go. You want me to go punch your ex? And then she laughed and the teasing stopped. And then a light friendship began for a year. And then she finally asked him out on a date and he said yes. So they got engaged after high school. And as of this article, they were 30 years old and still happy.
Oh, that's really
that's
sweet.
sweet.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear one of my marching band stories? So
yes,
there
I
was
do.
this-
Absolutely.
This was, of course, in the 90s where men well, men still feel like they can say whatever they want to women, but there was this guy who, for like shock value, would try to say shitty stuff to me in front of like
Right.
the other. Because when you play percussion as a girl, you're surrounded by guys.
Oh, absolutely.
For the record, if you are in band, you know what first chair is, and I was first chair over all those motherfuckers.
Ooh,
Yeah, you were.
Good for you.
Okay, so I don't remember what this kid said, but he said something to me very sexually explicit. We were down on the football field waiting to go on for halftime. We're like about
Did you
to walk
shove
out.
a drumstick up his nose?
No, I'm better. So do you know what bass drum mallets look like? They're
Oh, yeah.
huge. I took it and rammed it straight into his dick. And
That's amazing.
the drum director or the band director came over and I told him what he said and he was like, okay. I will tell you that guy never talked to me like that again.
I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will mallet you in the fucking dick. Don't talk to me like that.
Well, this next story kind of relates to that.
I did not fall in love with this.
Well,
kid.
this one does
good
not
segue.
have a this does not have a happy ending. So this was also in high school, and a guy would tease this girl for being quote emo, and also to the point of bullying, like just like relentless, right? Until one day he followed her down an empty hallway talking shit about her, and this girl was normally quiet, but she had sort of reached her breaking point, and she says, this is a quote, "I spun around, shoved him against a wall hard, and said something like, 'Emo means you want to hurt yourself. I just want to hurt you.'"
Damn. Are you sure this isn't a story about me?
I was gonna say, I was wondering if this was maybe you in high school. So then she walks off, and he was so dumbfounded, and of course that probably turned him on, right? So he started being nice and somehow convinced this girl to go out with him. And she said they were together for a little while, but it was kind of fun at first, but like there was high energy, high emotions, feverish sex, but alas, he was a terrible person. So
Whitney forgets that we're also recording videos. Sometimes you just see what she's doing right now.
So she said he was manipulative, incredibly dishonest, and cheated on her multiple times.
Boo.
So I would think the whole bullying thing would be kind of a red flag.
Yeah.
You know? But I mean, I don't know. Carden was a bully.
Well, he's also fictional.
And he has
not
a tail, and I still like that.
It's not
so.
okay in real life, only in
Yeah,
fiction.
yeah.
Yeah.
So then I have two celebrity stories, and these are hilarious. This one's Michael J. Fox and Tracy Pollan. So they worked together on Family Ties in 1985, and he was pretty young then. I mean, I would say probably early 20s. And apparently he made a rude joke to her. So this was his story. Quote, "One day we broke for lunch, and after lunch we picked up where we left off. The moment she said her first line, I detected a hint of garlic and sensed an opportunity to have a little fun at her expense. Whoa, a little scampi for lunch, babe?" At first she said nothing. Her expression didn't even change. But looking me dead in the eyes, she said slowly, "That was mean and rude, and you're a complete and total fucking asshole." And he says she was joking. I don't know that she was.
I bet she wasn't.
But I didn't get it because no one would ever joke with me like that. I was not the butt of any jokes. She just poked through that like you're a scared little kid and I'll
She
just
wasn't
call you
joking,
out.
buddy.
What,
Yeah.
just because you're Teen Wolf?
I know. And he said
You think
in
you're
that
hot shit?
in that moment I fell in love with her. And they've been together
Aw.
for a long
Yeah, they're still
time.
together.
A long
Oh, they're
time.
still together?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They've been together
Yeah.
for like 40
Yeah,
years.
they're
at
very
this
much
point.
in love.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we come to my favorite, Kristen Bell and Dax Shepard.
I love her.
So
and
they
him.
first met at the producer of Forgetting Cheryl Marshall. Her name is Shauna Robinson. It was her birthday dinner. And her only memory of him from that night is, quote, that he talked so much and there were no sparks whatsoever. And so she recalls it like this. "I was like, this guy can talk. And then I didn't know who he was. I'm like, maybe is that one of the guys from Jackass or something?"
Or something.
And then
Pretty much.
Dax remembers that she was telling a really intense story about a deal she had gotten at Target. And then Kristen admitted,
She's just like us.
I know, Kristen admitted that sounded like it was on brand. And then 2 weeks later, they crossed paths at a hockey game of all things and started to flirt. And then a day after that, she gets a text from him that says, "Hi, my name is Dax. I violated your privacy and got your number from Shauna. How do you feel about that?" And she said, and I can so see her saying this. She texted back, "Excuse me, You sound stimulating.
I feel like they both bring out like the best in each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They have so much fun together.
They do, yeah.
Yeah.
They do seem to have a lot of fun together. Well, that's fun. Thank you for that, man.
Those were fun.
I like that. Favorite trope in real life, too.
Absolutely.
Well, is there anything else you guys wanted to talk about with this section?
That's all from me.
Well, then next time we're going to talk about Leather and Lark, chapters 6 through 9.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.